Shaping our world today.
Don't miss out on the conversation everyone will be talking about.
Join Fuad Saeed as he dives deep into the heart of the matters, exploring the issues that matters most to you.
And there is no subsidy in that sector, according to the government. So what you have, and the government is very reluctant to accept this, that we are funding the discos, they are cash strapped. And so the government is trying to raise money for them. And that is why...
Tune in to Political Roundtable every Sunday at 6 p.m. only on Mainland 98.3 FM. Political Roundtable, where politics meets passion. Stay informed, stay engaged.
Open defecation in Nigeria perpetuates a cycle of poor health, environmental degradation, and undermines human dignity. With approximately 47 million people practicing open defecation nationwide, Nigeria ranks among the top countries globally with the highest number of individuals who lack access to proper sanitation facilities. The stats look grim. The overriding effect in itself can be terrible to our general well-being. In that light, we from Mainland 98.3 FM call on the government to increase its effort in providing public toilets to end this scourge. And we also encourage the citizenry to imbibe proper hygiene and not defecate in public.
What about sunrise?
Alright, it's time for Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Saeed Foha. This is the show where we look at the major issues in the political space. And today it's a bumper package. We have 4 issues to look at on the roundtable. Barrister Curtis Adigba will be joining us in the studio, but we'll first bring him in via the phone line. And then, of course, we'll now expecting to join us maybe in the next 10 minutes or so in the studio, but let's just start the conversation. I'm sure a lot of you are out there already waiting for us to serve you what has become a tonic, a Sunday tonic when it comes to political conversation in Nigeria. We have 4 issues. Of course, the first one is the bribery scandal. The Federation of Investigative Journalists have conducted an investigation, and as a report alleging that Bobrisky spent only 3 weeks in prison, and so we're going to be asking ourselves, because again it's been the most it's been the trending issue really. There's, whether you look at it from the political side, from policy side, institutional issues and all of that, of course it's been the dominant issue across all spectrum really, and it's just important that we bring it on the roundtable today to also look at some of the challenges we seem to be having with our institutions. And so the question this evening is, what does it say about alleged corruption or widespread corruption in our institutions? Again, the EFCC is on the spotlight, the correctional service officials, and a whole lot of conversation as to the reforms that are needed in the justice system has come up from this particular scandal involving Iṛsᴜ, popularly called Bobrisky, and then of course a social media activist who calls himself the very dark man. Of course, names have been mentioned, heads have been rolling, investigations have started, but it's important that we also dissect the issue to begin to ask questions around corruption in our institutions. So that's going to be the first issue on the roundtable this evening. The second one, PDP Rivers politics. It's a rivers of drama, a river state of drama, political intrigues. All through the week, there was always one news coming from Rivers State. Allegedly, politicians loyal to Governor Fubara have officially defected, who are going to be contesting for the local government position, have officially defected to the APP, party called APP. Again, we saw the official unveiling of the party members, and then an official launching of their local government campaigns. And Just yesterday, 괰ᴜ, I think, gave a reply. A group of Ijaw youths honored 괰ᴜ, and a lot was said at that event. A lot said about the future of Rivers State, the political future of Rivers State. A lot was also said about the future of the PDP, a party caught in the web of confusion as to the position, the loyalty, and the interest of 괰ᴜ and his G5 governors. The entire G5 governors were in Rivers State to celebrate one of their own. But one of the people that also showed up at that event, as you know, led a lot of people to ask questions as to what is happening to the stronghold or the influence of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar in the PDP. The governor of Adamawa State was also at that event, Governor Fintiri, and he also made statements. And people have been asking questions as to what has happened to the influence and what seems to be the stronghold of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar on the PDP. If the governor of his home state attended an event honoring 괰ᴜ, who a lot of people have seen as a political adversary to the former vice president. But again, 괰ᴜ is saying, we'll teach you a lesson. That's talking to the Fubara Camp for Seeking Refuge in the APP. And so the battle between the godfather and his godson continues. And so we're going to be asking ourselves the question here on the roundtable: who will have the last laugh? Where will the last laugh between this godfather and his estranged godson come from? Who is going to have the last laugh? Seyi Makinde also made some statements. Wike himself, I think we have them on audio, or made a lot of statements. Of course, you know, a typical 괰ᴜ. He had a lot of interesting words and statements for his political opponent. So that will be the second issue on the roundtable this evening. And then cabinet reshuffle. Bayo Onanuga during the week had hinted to the point that the president was already considering having a shake-up of his cabinet. He was going to reshuffle his cabinet. No clear timeline was given, but of course we've had several reports as to the fact that the president could be rejigging his cabinet on the 1st of October, as we of course mark Independence Day anniversary. And so there are reports that, look, ministers are already afraid. There's a lot of fear amongst the cabinet ministers of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And so we're asking ourselves, if that reshuffle eventually happens on the 1st of October, as it's being touted in some quarters, how should President Tinubu approach his cabinet rejig? Who are the ministers that should remain? Who are the ones, the ministers that should be fired? And there are also a lot of Nigerians who have said that, look, the president should start with himself. He should relinquish that position as the Minister of Petroleum. And so basically the question here on the roundtable is, how should President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approach his cabinet rejig? And will that change things for him? Will that give the administration a new direction? And then, of course, put it on the right path for delivering the dividends of democracy that Nigerians have been yearning for over 25 years of sustained democracy in this fourth republic. And then lastly, we look at electoral reforms. The bill for independent candidacy has killed the first reading. And so we ask ourselves, does this bring hope for a better electoral process in the future? We've been talking about the possibility of having independent candidates who are going to run for elections not on any party platform, but just as an individual. And that bill, to allow that to happen in an electoral process, has killed the first reading. How important is the possibility of having Nigerians run as independent candidates, and what will they bring on the entire electoral process? Barrister Curtis Adigba will be joining me via the phone line. Is going to join us eventually in the studio. But again, it's just important that we start the conversation and have the discussion going. We are streaming the show live on Facebook and YouTube, and so you can join us on those two platforms to share your thoughts and contributions. Of course, the show is interactive, so we'll eventually open the phone lines to get your contributions on any of the issues we have on the roundtable this evening. Good evening, Barrister Curtis.
Good evening to you, my brother. Good evening to the listener.
All right, good evening. I'm sure you've been following the Bobrisky scandal.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Let's get into the conversation this way. An investigative report by FIJ. I'm sure you are familiar with them. That's the Federation of Investigative Journalists. Our very good friend Fᴏᴜ is in charge of that. Has revealed that social media influencer and cross-dresser Bobrisky spent only 3 weeks of his sentence in prison and the rest in a secret location. IṛsᴛሶɁ, the Nigerian cross-dresser popularly known as Bobrisky, served only 3 weeks of his 6-month sentence in prison. That's according to the FIJ report. The report follows the revelation on Tuesday by Martins Vincent Osei, a social media activist popularly known as Very Dark Man, of an audio in which Bobrisky was alleged to have claimed that she or he, as this report is put in, but I'll go with he, where he spent a sentence mostly out of prison, and that he compromised operatives of the EFCC with 15 million naira to drop the money laundering charge against him. According to the FIJ report, while Bobrisky was indeed taken to Kirikiri prison in April after his sentence was pronounced, the news report deposes that he left after just 3 weeks. According to the FIJ report, Bobrisky was guided like a president for 3 weeks. He spent in prison before he was moved out. The revelation by the source are in consonance with a 2019 undercover investigation by FIJ founder Fᴏᴜ, for which he deliberately got himself detained for 5 days by the police and incarcerated for 8 days by the prison service, discovering that it was possible to pay money to live in well-furnished apartments inside prison, pay to bring in phones, drugs, sundry outlawed items, strike one's name off the prison records, and even live outside the prison while supposedly serving out a jail term. Damning revelations by Barrister Curtis Adigba. The situation of our justice system, from the point of arrest, investigation, prosecution, to when a jail sentence is supposed to be served by a convict. This level of compromise, Barrister Curtis, how disturbed should we be?
Well, this is just the tip of the rod. And it is not something that... Hello?
I'm with you. I can hear you, Barrister Curtis.
This is just the tip of the rod. And it is not something that we don't know about. We have always known about this. So let me take you back on a history journey. There was, I think, in the early 90s or about late 90s, where a popular socialite was convicted of...
Hello, Barrister.
Prison at the hotel. And while he was there, he fathered 3 children.
While in prison, he fathered 3 children in prison. Oh, okay. All right, we'll try and, of course, reconnect again to Barrister Curtis Adigba. For those who have been trying to reach us on Facebook, I think we have some technical challenges on our Facebook platform, but I think you can always watch us on YouTube. Our YouTube platform is up and running, so you can connect with us on YouTube. Drop your messages and contributions on our YouTube platform. We'll definitely read out all your contributions on our YouTube platform. Do we see Barrister Curtis? Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
All right.
So, like I was saying, while he was in jail, supposedly he fathered 3 children. Because he was never in jail in the first place. He had a house furnished for him somewhere on WဃŠոᴜnSAᴘᴜ road, Ikoyi. We've also had cases of where individuals, very big people, social influential people, will be sentenced to jail terms, right? And they go looking for an urchin or someone that they can pay to go and spend the time in prison on their behalf.
Oh, yeah.
While they are out of the country or somewhere cooling off. So this is not anything new. However, don't forget that, like you mentioned in that report by FIJ,
yes,
Fᴏᴜ had told us clearly about what happened to him for the 8 days that he spent in the prison.
In the prison, yeah.
And I also have not gone to jail, but of course I had a friend who unjustly was sent to jail some times ago, and I was going to Ikoyi prison to see him from time to time. Now I got to know that in Ikoyi prison there is a VIP section, and in that section, majority of the prisoners there were Chinese. Now they, for a fee, they had other prisoners working for them. They wash for them, they cook for them. These guys have their life 24 hours. They provide money for diesel, they have their phones, their girlfriends can visit them. The only thing is that they couldn't go out as and when they wanted to. But even then they were entitled to go out, go and do their businesses and come back. So this is nothing new. However, what is new is that it's coming from someone whose approach to handling issue is darker than that of ᴰᴏ. Don't forget that when Fisayo's report came out, it had no traction. We just swept it under the carpet and we left it.
And we moved on with our lives.
But but the very dark man has a unique way of presenting his own reports. And so he went on the social media, disrupted the entire system, and those who should act started acting immediately because he threatened to call more names.
And release more audio.
And read more audio. So what do we know so far about the Bobrisky issue? One, we all know that Bobrisky was arrested by the EFCC and accused of mutilating the Naira. We know that at some point, money laundering charge was added to it. And then we also know that at some point also, that charge was dropped. And we don't know why it was dropped.
Why it was dropped, we don't know.
We don't know. Now we probably know. Then we also know that he reached a plea bargain with the EFCC and he was jailed for 6 months.
6 months.
Now, that was all we knew. We thought he went to jail and that he served his jail term in the prison until he was released to that fanfare. But now, we are getting snippets. I say snippets because, according to the very dark man, he has more voice notes to release of what really happened. Now, and what he said happened from the voice note that I listened to is that Bobrisky at some point was able to reach an agreement with some operatives of the EFCC for him to pay 15 million so that the charge on money laundering will be dropped. And so, on the basis of what we have heard, we can conclude that somehow money exchanged hands between him and the EFCC guys, and that was why that charge was dropped. The second thing, which I also heard in that voice note, was that there is a top man in this country, very powerful and influential man, who said Bobrisky should not go to jail. And he was able to call the Controller General of the prison. And on the basis of that, they arranged for her to pay 9 million and be given an apartment outside. And that happened. Now, why and how did all this become public? They became public because Bobrisky is a bad debtor. All the people he contacted to borrow money from, in order to be able to meet up with these terms, for settlement. The 15 million for dropping the charges, the 9 million for going into an apartment outside. He did not pay one of them, from whom he borrowed 4 million. And if you read the messages exchanged, the chat between them, the guy agreed with him to be paid at a specific point in time. And when he didn't pay, he kept repeating and demanding for that money. And at the point he felt that the guy was disturbing him too much for only 4 million. And they tried to threaten the guy that, you touched me before, we kissed and all that. like a blackmail. And it was at that point, according to the guy, that he felt that he needed to record their conversation. So that in the event that
anything happens,
attempts to blackmail him, he will be able to get the word to hear his own version of the story. So, and that was why he recorded, unknown to Bobrisky, that he was being recorded. So now we know. And when I listened to that tape again, I heard that the very dark man gave the Falanas a chance to deny. Because he kept saying, oh, when Falana's name was mentioned, because of the conversation Bobrisky had with Fast, the bad guy, he brought in his father, based on the voices that I heard, that his father had obtained, had sought for and obtained pardons for so many people in the past, and he can do the same thing for him, such that his name will be removed, from any criminal list in this country. And he said, oh, if this is true, that the foreigners were involved, that Fast, who pretends to be fighting for democracy, was involved in this kind of arrangement, this kind of corruption, right? He will be so disappointed. He said, Uncle Femi, I have a lot of respect for you. And I hope that this is never true. If this is true, I will lose the respect for you. Now, my worry is that in spite of all these messages, in spite of all that we have gotten to hear and to know, the foreigners are not angry with the man who mentioned their name, who connected them to the scandal in the first place. All that they are doing because of the reach of the very dark man is to threaten him with lawsuits. And to me, that's a huge mistake. Huge mistake in the sense that I think of my late grandmother, maternal grandmother, right? And her attitude to conflict management or conflict. When you have problem with her, she starts by insulting herself about everything you know about her. And then that conflict will last until you come to beg her, because anytime she sees you again, she say, last time we were insulting each other, I've not heard this about you. She'll start again. So in the village, people don't want to have anything to do with her when it comes to like conflict, a conflict. And I think that's the kind of character the very dark man has. This guy is not afraid to go to jail. This guy is not afraid to be taken to court, but he's bent on exposing the rot and corruption in our system. And because he has the crowd, he has people who listen to him. Yes, I heard people say, oh, he's useless. Oh, he's looking for attention. What we have discovered in our country is that whoever exposes corruption becomes the enemy of the people. Even the people that are supposed to be the beneficiaries, they become the enemy of that person. And earlier today, I was having a conversation with someone and who told me how disappointed he was in Nuhu Ribadu. That's the National Security Advisor. That after he had made Nigerians to believe that he was an anti-corruption figure, that he was fighting corruption so much, he made a 360-degree turn and is now with working for those he said they were corrupt in the past. And I asked him a very simple question. When the system, the corrupt system, took on Ribadu to bring him down, what did you do for him?
How many of you, stood with him?
How many of you fought with him? How many of you said he was being unfairly treated? I asked him a question. When Jubilee Abdul Muminu, member House of Representatives, came out, accused the current chief of staff and then the speaker, Dogara, of stealing billions from National Assembly budget, and he was suspended for 1 year, how many of you raised your voice for him? These guys discovered that Nigerians are not worth fighting for. And what they have done, one after the other, is to say, because these people will not fight for us, and we don't want to waste our time. Now, everybody discovered that it is better to find its way to where things are better for him. Because even for those of us who are irritant, Irritant by what I mean, those who come out to criticize the government from time to time.
Yes.
It is not the government people that abuse us. It is those that we thought
you are fighting for
better living conditions for that insult us. And so many times I have been called in the past by people, friends, concerned people who mean well for me. They say, look, why are you wasting your time defending these people? Why are you wasting your time advocating for better living conditions for them? Face your life. We know you already. You understand? So this is the kind of thing this guy has taken upon himself to do. And so the whole talk about those in government pretending about not knowing that the EFCC is corrupt is very funny. In this very studio, remember sometimes we say that Nigeria is one of the few countries in the world. But when you identify a problem and profile solutions to that problem, the solutions become part of the problem in less than 2 weeks. So you have an agency that is supposed to be fighting corruption. That agency is also more corrupt than those that they are fighting. Have you ever wondered why?
All right, I think we're going to have Barrister Curtis join us in the studio. I sense he's already very, very close to us. So we'll just bring him straight live into the studio. Welcome to the studio, Barrister Curtis. We have to just improvise, really.
I had a little bit of traffic.
Yes. It's understandable the way Lagos is structured. You can never be too sure about these things. But just continue your thoughts on this Bobrisky issue.
I've never wondered why.
Yes.
They have very little success against big-time looters in the country, because these people have so much money at their disposal to influence key operatives.
That's why I said from the arrest to the investigation, from investigation to arrest, prosecution, because if, like it's been alleged, a particular charge, which was supposed to be the bigger of the two charges, of course, mutilation of the naira was really nothing too big, like money laundering, was dropped on the allegation that they collected 15 million naira.
Now you know why.
So if we have the big looters, quote and unquote, as you've put it, Barrister Curtis, who have more than 50 million to give, then what are we talking about, really?
Let me tell you something. Why do you think that most cases that the EFCC takes to court, the cases are found to be defective? Either the way they filed the case, that they were bringing the
technicalities,
case, or that they didn't have enough evidence. Some of these things are deliberate.
Bungle the case at initial.
Yes, and that's the smartest way after they have been settled. And I'm not saying that there are no people in the EFCC who are great people, full of integrity, wanting to do what is right for the country. We do have such people. Now, the problem appears to be that there are the problem appears to be that there are also those who sees the work they do at EFCC as an opportunity to make more money for themselves. Have you ever asked yourself why the EFCC is so effective against cybercrime?
Yahoo
boys.
Look, they are so fast really to deal with all those Yahoo cases,
and they're convicted by the court and sentenced to jail.
But how many governors do we have?
Look at the Abelos case and look at the funny thing that happened last week. Oh, he came escorted.
And because he was holding hands with a governor that has immunity.
Yes.
And so they didn't want to cause any...
The governor's immunity is not for him to commit crime. The governor's immunity is for him
to respect himself within the ambit of the law.
Yes. And while he's performing his official
duty, yes.
Taking an accused person to the EFCC is not part of his official duty.
And obstructing a legal arrest.
Yes. It's not part of his official duty.
And immunity should not cover that.
So this is what I say to people. Are people saying that if a governor who has immunity today jumps into the road at Ikorodu Road here and starts shooting people because he has immunity,
he will not be arrested.
He will not be arrested
because he has immunity, but he's killing people. We can't arrest him.
Can you ever imagine anybody, either a Yahoo boy or someone else who is accused of theft or corruption, go into a EFCC even with some people, and then they say because he came with a high-profile person,
we don't touch him.
It's against our protocol not to touch him.
So there are protocols for different protocols.
Yes, these are the things that make people feel that look, there is no way out of corruption in this system.
On the Bobrisky matter, by Barrister Curtis, we've seen the Minister of Interior, of course, some officials of the Correctional Service have been suspended while investigations are ongoing. But for the EFCC, I think the first response to this allegation was to invite Bobrisky and the very dark man, who actually replied them and said that, look,
I'm not coming.
You shouldn't be inviting me. Yeah. I gave you a lead into the corruption within your system. I would have thought that your immediate energy and concentration would be on you investigating the official that handled the Bobrisky matter. How do you feel about the recent actions of the EFCC to allegations of compromise of its officials?
I think they have set up a committee to investigate.
That's House of Reps.
No, even in the EFCC, they say, and you know, committees have become an euphemism for non-action.
No, for not wanting to do anything, but pretending to want to do.
To be left undone, give it to a committee. Don't want to solve that problem. Let me tell EFCC how to investigate a thing like this.
Very simple thing like
Very simple. Who was the IPO?
In charge of that case.
In charge of that case. Who had the responsibility to prepare the charges after the investigation?
Yes.
What reason was given to the chairman
for dropping that part of the case?
Money laundry charge. And this is how you go about. And then these same people, because in that voice note, you heard that funds were transferred to specific accounts.
Yeah.
Go after those accounts.
Did any 15 million come in? Or
where did money come in?
Yeah.
From what period? And for what reason? How did they make that money? It's very simple. This is not even a committee thing.
And I think by now, Bobrisky should also have been called in to answer questions.
Yes. I think there's speculation that she's been arrested or something. But from the ministry perspective, the minister announced that 2 persons mentioned in connection with that activity have been suspended.
Yeah,
we'll see what comes out of it. I think at this point, suspension is the first step and is the right step. But Nigerians should be ultimately briefed about the findings.
Because there's also this feeling that, look, Nigeria is a country of so many happenings. New things are going to happen and we're just going to forget. It's going to be like every other issue that happens and then we just move on.
And you can't blame people who feel that way, because this is one huge theater. Every day a new drama. Every day a new drama. So they compound.
And then we just move on to the next one. Yeah.
The attention, the ability to focus attention on any particular issue, diminishes with time. Because you keep hearing the same kind of things. Now we're talking today. Even before we leave the studio, something
can happen and then it takes over the whole conversation. Yeah.
Government memory is not like human memory.
Because there are institutions that are supposed to see things through.
And these institutions we have record in other parts of the world. Okay, look at this guy now, PDD. Some of the crimes he committed
years ago. They've been taking records, keeping records.
Government don't forget their memory,
and they should not forget.
They shouldn't forget. But when they forget here, just know that it's conveniently forgotten.
Not that he was it's deliberate.
Yes, and sometimes the people that are involved could just be transferred from Lagos to Abuja and buried in another office,
and the file is forgotten somewhere, and that's the end.
Yes. Okay. So we keep wasting money and resources and other things on the same set of case, but going around in circle.
Well, there are people who have also put up this argument to say that, look, what if Bobrisky was just being a loose talker, somebody who was just bragging?
That would be uncovered by the investigation.
Okay, the investigation would
then we'll be told that he was just loose talking.
But the facts would have shown that it was just a loose talk.
But let me tell you, this cannot be loose talking, and I'll tell you why. Were the charges dropped?
Well, yeah, these charges were dropped. We know that.
So it's like what happened between Femi Otedola and Lawan Farouk,
the man that put dollars in the cap.
Yeah, he said he was trapped.
Trapped, yes. But there were videos of him putting dollars in the cap.
It was intentional. And the question that we asked then, if you suspected this was intentional, why didn't you go to the speaker or call the police to say, I think that someone is trying to trap me here. He has given me some money. This is the money as an evidence. Why didn't you go to take that step? Why wait until it became public and then you start making these excuses?
There's no excuse really, because he collected the money and didn't report to the authorities.
And like I said, if the very dark man sat down, imagine this in his head, and then use
conjured it and just
then he deserves an award for an Oscar
for him to have been able to put this together.
So this is not, and he is saying part 2 is coming, given what is going on now. You understand?
Yes.
Now, don't forget that Bobrisky has not come out to deny that he did not speak with anybody. Don't also forget that Franz the Bass guy has not come out to say I did not
he
have
said
any
they had the conversation. It was just, but people have been making statements.
Now, all he said was that he called me to seek for assistance, financial assistance. He called me to ask for 3 million to do something with it. What was it he wanted to do with 3 million? And how that conversation ended, we don't know. Thank you. On his way to jail. What was he going to do with 3 million that he was asking you for?
Well, Mr. Curtis, we just had to quickly touch on that, really, because again, like Fisayo said, that look, all manner of things happen, really. The process of investigation, arrest, the VIP treatment we give to some set of Nigerians when they are convicted. I'm sure you will not forget in a hurry how the correctional service officials were fighting with the DSS on a Mayfele.
Of course.
And people say, why were you fighting? To get custody of a Mayfele, because to the extent that the correctional service official was almost.
It's a culture in Nigeria. You traveled. Do you observe what happens at the airport when you are coming in? How the custom teams fight over themselves over the table you should go to.
Yes, and what is in the way they search
to have your boxes searched. And a few times it happened to me. I just stood in the middle and folded my hands.
Okay, where do you want me to go?
I say, you decide where you want me to go.
Don't tear my cloth here.
Because if this is
because at the end of the day, it's not about really doing the job.
No,
it's about where do you bring Oga?
Family support.
Well, it's still Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Well, we quickly have to just touch on the Bobrisky.
Even as we're speaking now,
yes.
Go to Ikoyi. They like to call it correctional center.
Correctional center, yes.
They're deceiving themselves. There's nothing correcting anybody there. You go there now. You pay to see people, even when it's on a visiting day. You pay. The number of time, the amount of time they spend with you depends on how much you are willing to pay. Yes. And you can actually pay for a prisoner to become a VIP. You pay monthly, on a monthly basis. And then he's taken to the VIP section where he's catered for like a VIP. Other prisoners cook for him, wash for him. He has access to see his girlfriends or his wife. And all, so this is not anything new.
Well,
all the talk now is all fire brigade approach.
Well, let's see.
Like you see, except for the Minister of the Interior, whom I can give some level of.
But people have also been calling him out to say that, look, is he going to feign ignorance to say that he's not aware of the rots in a correctional centers?
How can he say he's not aware?
Why is he suddenly now behaving as if he's not aware about some of these things?
It's PR chain. He needs to be visible in the press. But I give him. Like I said, I give him credit.
But can he fix the mess?
It depends. Does he have the political capital
to fix this rot? Yes.
Does he have the strength and the character of conviction to say this is a problem and I'm going to go out all the way
to fix it?
Does he have the political support from those who appointed him to go all out?
And can he do it alone?
And can he do it alone? This is the point. Because we're a nation of connections. If you are powerful, you have connections in government, you can do things
that can even override whatever influence the minister has.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM, like announced earlier, we're having issues with our Facebook platform, but you can be a part of the show by dropping your contributions on our YouTube platform. There's a YouTube platform is up and running, so I can see Alakpe Rafiu Alaba, who has already dropped some comments on our YouTube platform. So if you also want to be a part of the show, the Facebook platform is not active now, so use the YouTube platform. We're going to open the phone lines eventually.
Bobrisky hacked it.
He can't. While reading through some of the reports, there was this problem of he/she, and at some point, one of the media outlets was actually using he or she.
Or she. I called him a shim.
The confusion that comes with.
She's a hermaphrodite, really.
Well, she said,
based on what she said,
the excuse is that she's a cross-dresser.
No, but she says she has both organs.
And that she has done some surgery. We've seen videos,
Yes, her Botox is BBL or BBL. How do you call it?
BBL. But whatever it is, really, this is one, of course, story that has vindicated Fisayo Soyombo, who has done brilliantly well in
so many areas.
In areas. I remember the customs story, how he was threatened and a lot of threat to his life.
The one in the selection.
And I don't think anything was investigated with the customs story.
No.
Everybody just denied it, and then we moved on with our lives. Now,
in fact, he was threatened with an arrest.
Arrest, yes. Because
they had to go into hiding.
This was somebody that did an investigative report to talk about the corruption with our border post and custom officials.
You've heard about the guy called Ronan Farrow?
No.
Ronan Farrow is a young boy who went undercover to do investigation about this film mogul, somebody that was jailed.
Westin?
Yes. Yeah, it was Ronan Farrow that went underground
to really dig into him.
Yes, and when he finished, he sent his report to the police
and they've taken it up.
The FBI.
But yes, Fisayo Soyombo did an investigative report on the customs and all manner of threats to his life. Yeah.
It was organizations outside the shores of this country who saw the importance of what he did.
He did, yes,
and gave him scholarship to study abroad.
Abroad, yes, to commend his efforts. But
here is an enemy
of the state.
Yes, it's an enemy of the state, and a lot of Nigerians have realized this. Look at Festus Keyamo.
He will tell you that
Festus Keyamo was involved in the Bola Ige case. In fact, Frayo, the guy who was accused at that time, had run into Festus Keyamo's office and made certain confessions to him.
That we did it.
Yes. And then Festus Keyamo's younger brother, Lucky, came out and said this was a forced and procured evidence. You recall that the DSS had to arrest Festus Keyamo in the night from Lagos, put him in an open vehicle.
For guarding that kind of evidence.
Thank you. Drove him all the way from Lagos to Abuja, almost died. How many people stood up for him?
The man is in government now. He will tell you that,
But no, he discovered that fighting for the people is not profitable.
If he had lost his life, nobody would have.
For nothing.
But now, he would have looked at it and said, look, this is a better way for me.
The man did not spend 3 years with the ruling class before he became a minister.
And now everything has changed.
Everything has changed for him.
I think it was last year that I even posted a house in the UK. He had
the US.
In the US, yes. Look, I've acquired a property. It looks better. It looks younger.
You cannot see. This is a country where those who fight corruption become the villain, and those who are corrupt are the heroes.
I told someone, I said, look, you look at Eshowore, for example. If you had decided to cross to the other side,
very easy.
You would have been richer.
Do you know? If you want to know how a society is going to turn out, look at the people, the young people look up to as their role models. Do you understand? Even me sitting down here, if I decide to make that jump tomorrow to the other side, you will hear he's a useless man and he's this. But the same people come to abuse. If you know the torrent of abuses I get every day
by Curtis,
from making just harmless comments, about the pains of my fellow citizens.
Yes.
And that those imposing the pains on them are not taking. Okay, look at now. If you say anything about the cost of petrol, they say go and convert CNG. How many government vehicles have been converted to CNG?
No, is it for the poor?
How many vehicles in Aso Rock Villa are now on CNG? How many governors are using CNG in their vehicles? Or is it for the poor people?
No, the CNG is for
But these are the questions you ask. What you get is from people insults.
I also saw, I think, one of the megalomaniacs of government, really, who was saying that, look, we should thank the government that they've even kept the price of PMS at around 1,000.
It should be 5,000.
that in Brazil it is over 2,000. I said, so again,
is it comparing Brazil and Nigeria? Brazil, of course, is a place where you manufacture aircraft, manufacture buses.
Their level of development. 1999, they were all in the trenches, activism, fighting the military to have the return of democracy. And while they were doing that, they were so inundated, they were so committed to us returning to democracy, fighting the military. And that when democracy returned in 1999, some of them made the mistake of remaining in the trenches.
Yes.
And still fighting. But the guys who never fought with them took charge of government.
People like Abdu Oro.
Yes.
He went to contest election. Gani Fahimi went to jail so many times.
They were still there fighting. Yes.
When he sought to be president, how many votes did he get?
He didn't get anything.
Akabashorun
and co.
Bekoran some
Kuti, yes.
These are people we have even forgotten.
So what he said was that, look, the guys who never fought for democracy.
Of course. And that's why they don't value it.
Just took charge.
For them, it's just a game.
And that was why people, I'm sorry, like Ʞᴅᴜ has also decided that, look,
they should join. Look at majority of the people today who are benefiting from this so-called democracy were agents of the military.
A lot of them work for the military.
A lot of them were working for the military. They were the military boys.
Military boys who were now fighting against democracy.
And that's why they are mass sweats.
And somehow they just dissolved into the political space and they are now in charge.
And you know the most dangerous Democrats, in quote, they are operatives in the system who have this big reputation as experts in government, those who care about the people. But that's all you know. Underground is where they do the damage. They are the one who tells the president to ignore the people when they are protesting.
Don't worry.
The president, we have seen this so many years.
They will keep quiet.
This is a movie we have seen before. It won't take 3 days. Don't listen to them.
They will keep quiet.
Mr. President, let's deploy the police against them. Mr. President, let's hire people.
And they always are the corridors of power.
Yes, let's hire people to go and do a counter protest. You know, it's just like how if you want to contest election in those days, you know, you will come out and announce to Nigerians that you want to contest for social position. Then under the IBB minded experiment that time, where you now have people, the IBB and co, trying to say Nigerians were asking for some people to come and contest. You know, this whole idea about some poor hungry people who cannot even buy pure water contributing millions to buy form for candidates, fashionable.
Yeah.
So maybe me and Sandra will put money to buy your own.
You know, the rice farmers are borrowed and call borrowers fund loan that couldn't repay the loan. Bought form.
They couldn't pay back the loan.
And they bought form for 괰ᴜᴜ.
And then the money entered
voicemail and the rest is history today. Well, Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Barrister Curtis Adigba, Rivers State is always coming up with interesting conversations. Intriguing, actually, when it comes to politics. Wike was all boastful yesterday. I'm going to deal with them. There's really nothing to them. Oh, these guys are moving to the APP. They've lost her. We'll teach them political lesson. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, has mocked supporters of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who defected from the PDP to the All People's Party, the APP, ahead of the October 5 local government election in Rivers State. After Wike's loyalists took control of the PDP in Rivers following the Congress that held last month, Fubara reportedly directed his loyalists to contest the forthcoming election under the APP. Speaking at the reception organized for him by a group, the Ijaw People's Assembly, you know, we have a lot of groups now, in Port Harcourt on Saturday, which was yesterday, Wike expressed surprise that members of the PDP loyal to governor could defect to the APP, boasted that when the time comes, it will teach the APP and its members a big lesson in the state. I think we have a soundbite. We have to just find a way to pick one or two things that Wike said at that event. But a lot that we're going to talk about from what he said at that event, number one. Then the decision of the loyalists of the governor to move to the APP, we're also going to look at that. What kind of political strategy is that? Do you think that's a smart move from the loyalists of the governor and even the governor himself? And then we're going to look at Seyi Makinde. The G5 governor were also all at Rivers State yesterday. They had an addition who was not necessarily a member of the G5, but he was also there in solidarity. You know, against all expectations. Umaru, the governor of Adamawa State, was also there.
In the spirit of reconciliation. I think they are still dreaming about being able to reconcile Wike.
With who and who now?
With the party.
The party.
Yes.
All right, let's
when his relevance depends on not being reconciled.
You know, so we're going to talk about it, but let's quickly listen to what former governor Wike, we are almost calling him the governor because he has refused to leave the political structure of Rivers State alone.
He's the governor in Abuja anyway.
Yeah, okay, well, the governor in Abuja, but the FCT minister Wike said a lot of things, but we just had to pick maybe about 7-8 minutes of what he had to say because there was a lot that he said. And then we'll now also listen to the voice of Seyi Makinde, who a lot of people have said has become a chameleon of some sort. You can't really say where he stands, really. He's showing loyalty to Wike at some point. You see him. He was also part of the governors of the PDP that met and said that the party structure in the Rivers State should.
I describe him as a situational strategist.
Okay, anywhere Belefe is, like in football.
No, depending on what suits his interest. He has presidential ambition.
Ambition, yes, I know.
That's not in doubt.
Okay,
and so he needs to be everything to all people.
Okay, we're going to talk about Seyi Makinde. We're going to talk about Governor Fintiri. I also saw the G5 governors, and I'm like, I felt a bit ashamed for them.
G5 former governors.
Former governors, yeah, the chief.
Only one of them now. In fact, there should be G4. G4 former governors.
I saw Autumn. I saw Ugwuanyi. I saw, and they looked dejected, except for Autumn that said one or two things, but Ugwuanyi looked a bit lost, as if they were forced to come there. The mannerism was not too good.
They have nowhere to go now. As you know, once people are out of power in Nigeria, their money begins to go down.
And they tried to get to the Senate. They lost.
They lost. So right now, the only source of money they have is Nyesom Wike.
To move around with.
He's a very powerful minister, and he has got a lot of goodies
to dish out, hand out.
Yes. So that's why you see them, whether they are happy or not, they just have to be by him.
Well, Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Let's listen to the voice of the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, of course, mocking loyalist of Governor Siminalayi Fubara, who has crossed to the APP. And then also listen to the voice of the Governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, and then we'll be back on the roundtable. Let's listen to their voices and we'll be back.
People who are hiding their faces, those who have character. Those are people who have integrity. They stood firm and said, we will support equity, fairness, and what? Justice. We didn't hide it. Did we hide it? Why does anybody on earth think that anything we want to do will hide? Hide for who? Where is the address of the person? All those who are moving around say they are supporting somebody. You know it's not correct. You know some people don't have shame. I cannot serve your boy. I cannot serve master and serve boy. Now they are not even waiting. They are even rushing after the servant, the boy. They are not even waiting for the boy to call them. They are now rushing to the boy. People don't have integrity. Don't ever you think that they are fighting me. They are not fighting me. I'm too big. I'm too big. I'm too big. If you don't recognize somebody who is bigger than you, then you know you are sick. And far. All of them put together, they cannot stand it. When people said they will put hand here, I told them, if you come here and put hand, something hand to go enter a poor place. Not so. Now they cry. They cry now. They cry. Now you go find trouble. And that is sleep up so you go wake up. We're there on our own. Somebody call the boss, you go put hand. That's okay. Since you get hand to put, we too get hand to put. Alarm never begin blow now. Alarm never begin blow. Instead of them to concentrate on how they will win an election in their state, then they go meeting for another place to talk about River State. Now who lose now? I have never seen a situation like this. You get the exam. Instead of you to concentrate for the exam, make you pass. You don't go to students' protest. You don't go to student protest. Protest don't finish now. Exam don't start. Maybe failure. Then you say, my teacher make me fail. My teacher make I fail. Don't be fair by himself.
Roland so, enjoy people so, now we can. Roland so, now we can.
So when they go for TV, they call my name when I not do anything. So I be make them fail. That time when they go other states, for Enugu, for Taraba, for this, you know they say election day. You don't know. Go carry your problem. Not me give you problem. Now you give yourself a problem. And this is a lesson to others. Be careful. Be careful. Don't touch River State. It's a special state to God. So I thank all of you. And let all of you continue to be united for the interest of River State. Do not lose hope. Continue to relate with other ethnic groups. Look at the appointments that the Rivers Ijos got. If we hate Ijos, we won't do that. And so we must continue to work together. I thank you for this. Chief Ferdinand, I thank you for your leadership. You have seen that you are a man of honor and integrity. At your age, see what you are still doing. Rally around everybody. Just like about, of course, this is your work. You have no other work now. You should be mobilizing people. Boma, that is why they gave you that position. So that when your people are in need, you can come. We don't regret your appointment. You're a trusted person. And I trust all of you. The leader who is leading his assembly members from Enjoy Instruction. God will continue to bless you people. To continue to give you the strength, the wisdom. Every matter they have instituted against you.
Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
Your lady. I came to identify with my brother, the celebrant of today, the Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and the immediate past governor of Rivers State. When I showed up yesterday, I told him I brought peace offering because he has been boasting that he will put fire in some states. I said, please don't put fire in your state. And let me say this to my brother. This is on behalf of my other colleague here. I have the governor of Adamawa State, Right Honorable WဃÇOᴜ. I will say that the Honorable Minister Nyesom Wike, and by the way, they will always say immediate past governor. You have here also former governors. You have one-time governors. Me, I'm also counting down to join you guys as past governor. Let me say you've done well for your people. When we came in, I asked people from the airport up until I got to the hotel and here, I've seen projects, and there were projects that were done during your 8 years in office. I'll come back. I'd like to be taken to other projects that have been done now. So this honor being given to you, Mainland
98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos.
All right, we're back to Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Yes, the first voice was that of the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, of course, with some very interesting words there. I'm too big for any of them. All of them cannot defeat me. I'm bigger than all of them. For those that were formerly with the master, they are now suddenly running after the boy. They are not even waiting for the boy to call them. They don't have integrity. Like
who told him he's the master?
Well, he just said it, but I didn't say it.
Was Amaechi not his?
No. He is the master of everybody.
Yeah.
He has said now that he's the master. He's bigger than everybody now, and there was never any master. There cannot be any master. And in fact, for the current minister of the FCT, similarly, Fubara, the governor of Rivers State, is still a boy.
Of course.
And that's what he repeated severally on that podium where there was this very lavish party that was thrown,
and you can't blame
to honor him.
You can't blame Wike. Wike is right, because Wike is just lifting a page from the playbook of some persons in this country who still refer to state executives,
governors, particularly
executives,
as boys.
They
are my boys.
Yes, they are boys. So you cannot blame Wike. But what he doesn't understand is that when he was governor, nobody referred to him as his boy.
He even allowed anybody to call him a boy.
The only person who referred to him as a boy was Rotimi
Amaechi. Yeah.
And it was when he was asked about what Wike said about him. And he said, unfortunately, I don't join issues with those who worked for me in the past. As you recall, he was my chief of staff. So I will not join issues publicly with him.
But
he didn't say he was his boy.
Yeah.
He said he worked for me before, and I don't join issues.
But yeah, Wike is calling the governor a boy.
It's just like Babangida at that time when he was asked by journalists, "Oh, the Obasanjo said you are this and that and that." He said he was my commander in chief. I won't join issues with him. So for Wike to call Fubara a boy, the person who is now the governor of the state, it does not matter that no matter how powerful you are, it cannot be your boy. Look at people like Odili.
Yes.
Odili was governor. In fact, Odili made Wike local government chairman.
Of course, yes.
Odili won't call Wike his boy.
Never.
Jonathan made him minister. Jonathan won't call Wike his boy.
And even the wife, we knew how he stood by Wike, she stood by Wike, to eventually emerge as governor.
Yes. So you see how people shape their values and how values shape them. There are some people that you cannot give power. Wike is an example of someone who should never come close to power in this country. It's also an example of someone who should not have more money than they have sense. That's why you are seeing all these things. Look, there is this whole conflict, about, like we said in this studio, nobody has told us what the conflict is all about.
Nobody.
Other than the fact that we've been able to...
I helped him to become governor.
Yes.
And that's it.
And all that. And that nobody is going to take
my structure. I made him governor.
Nobody's going to take
my structure. Yes.
But we all know, as we have heard, that it's all about money. Who gets what? And look, the fact that when he was governor, nobody could do that to him should be a clear indication to him that governors are powerful no matter how small they are. And this goes with the saying in my place, that no matter how small or how young your child is, if you put him on your shoulders, him or her on your shoulders,
taller than you.
He becomes taller than you. This is power. And we will see. Because if things follow the tradition like we have seen in all the states, only last week we saw in Imo State, we saw in Kwara State, how sitting governors won all the local
but I was going to ask you about the move of Fubara's loyalists to move to the All People's Party.
Yeah, look.
How smart is that move?
It was inevitable. Because Wike had taken
charge of the PDP.
The governors elected on the ticket of the PDP came out and said, Fubara, as far as we know,
is the leader
of the party. And you heard what he said. He was going to throw fire.
And then they all recalled.
In their states. No, they have no record. They persisted on that course. But the National Secretariat of the party under Damagun
is saying something else completely. Yes.
Saying something completely. So, on the basis of that, Fubara had no option than to get his people to run on the ticket of
plan B.
Don't forget that this is not going to be the first time. You recall that under President Muhammadu Buhari, Amechi, when he saw that the APC wasn't doing or backing him so much against Wike, came up, I think, with ADC.
Yeah, there was a party, yes, in Rivers, and they almost won, even for the courts.
Had Wike by the throat to the wall.
I think the courts rescued him.
No, it was the government. It was President Muhammadu Buhari who ordered the police and INEC to back off.
To back off, yes.
Otherwise, he would have been an ex-governor. Long time before now. So he has to be careful. Nobody can, or like we believers said, all powers belong to God. Wike talks like he invented power. He talks like he is the only one who has got resources at his disposal. The governor of a state, yes, you helped him. He's now his boy, and he's the master. Master of who? If he's the master of Fubara, then Amechi is his master. Odili is his master. Ada George, former governor, is his master. Celeste Numeha, former governor, is also his master.
And how did he treat them?
Because these people were all governors before him.
And how did he treat those other masters?
Yes, he had no respect for any one of them. Wike is only loyal to Wike. And look at Wike talking about integrity. We have videos of Wike talking about never. He said,
Ever.
Never. He said, if you have, how can I have headache? And you say, you go and take cancer.
Cancer, the APC.
He talked about how he would never associate with APC in his life.
Look, Barrister Curtis, Wike said that, look, on this day that we are having the PDP primaries, I will abide by whatever result comes from these primaries.
No, he has forgotten that.
There are videos of it where he said, look, these primaries of the PDP, whatever happens here, I will accept it.
He suffers from selective amnesia. I saw him. I was in Abuja then, when he talked after the results were announced.
Yes.
He said clearly, he tried to mend friends with Atiku and worked so hard to be picked as the VP nominee. And when that happened, then he changed course. You know, so, and like I said in this studio, that even a Wike will not pick another Wike to be his vice presidential candidate. A Wike will not pick himself.
That would be like putting fire on the roof.
So,
I'm going to bed.
And I think he needs to tread carefully. Because nobody has been able to contain power indefinitely. There was a time in this country when the elders in the Afenifere, their words was final. I mean, their words were final.
Final, yeah.
If they say to you, you are the candidate of the party.
That's it.
That's it. Even if you didn't participate in the process,
you could be chosen eventually.
You saw how the late Funshaw Williams was coasting to victory.
Yeah, and then somehow the ticket of the party went somewhere else. Yeah.
Went to the current president.
Yeah.
But what happened after the current president became governor?
And all of them
systematically it dismantled
all of them.
That system. And I think Wike should be very careful. Power is transient. No one should boast about power as if he's God. All powers belong to God.
Well, it depends on how our politicians interpret that particular statement. You know, all power belongs to God. I think that, look.
Well, to them, all powers belong to power.
So far you have the power, you have the power.
And there's nothing you cannot do.
And I think they use God when it's so comfortable for them to just...
If you have the resources, you can procure some jobless people who will constitute themselves quickly into an organization.
Or group.
And
then I'll
and then you collect money from you. To host you, and then give you the opportunity to go out and say whatever you want to say. But I think we should be protecting, is our institution. The governor of Rivers State, occupies an institution, and that institution should not be derided. When he was governor, he occupied that same institution
and used it to the maximum.
Nobody, in fact, there was a day as governor he was abusing the traditional ruler. If you recall, look at your cap like Podio. You remember?
Yeah, of course. The video is very popular. All right, Seyi Makinde, Governor Fintiri, the PDP governors. Session is the former Vice President Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who a lot of political analysts are saying he probably should leave the party. That there's no hope of any redemption for the PDP, the way the party is going, you know. Recently, of course, the acting chairman, who a lot of analysts have said is clearly loyal to Nyesom Wike. What he's doing, his actions have shown that, look, it's probably working to ensure Wike, you know, achieves whatever he wants to achieve with the PDP. And like you said, that, look, maybe a Seyi Makinde is hoping, or if Fintiri was there hoping that there's going to be reconciliation. Reconciliation with who? Because as far as political watchers know, or pundits are saying, that look, the only reason why Wike is this big, relevant, and powerful now is because of the fact that he's a minister and he's with the president. That so, if tomorrow he doesn't have that influence and connection with the presidency, he cannot have been able to cause this level of disruption in the PDP and even in Rivers State.
Even the hard talks is fond of making, the boasting, the outlandish boasting, you know, and all that is simply because he feels that he has the instrument
and the backing of the president
and the president of the president. I mean, to go to River State, use force, and then smuggle his people into position at the local
and even probably lock the local government secretariats with the police.
If not, I mean, what power does he really have?
Really?
Even if we are in a sane country, Wike is just an ordinary minister, a minister of the government holding his job at the pleasure of the president, just like any cabinet minister. He just, you know, it's only in this country where people talk about some ministries are so powerful and others are not powerful. Now, what is happening with Seyi Makinde?
Because he said it here that, oh, when Wike threatened to throw fire into some states, please don't throw fire into or your state too. Again, alluding to the fact that maybe Wike is that powerful and he can actually throw fire into those states.
You know, what is happening to someone like Seyi Makinde is objectified by the saying that we have become a people of interest and no longer of values. That's what you say. Seyi is engaging in what I call creative chaos, where you go out to create chaos just because of your interests. I think it was 2 weeks ago that a popular prophet was all over the internet saying that this was Seyi Makinde's time
to become president.
And he shouldn't allow this pass. As far as Seyi Makinde, let me go into his brain for a moment, because anyone in his position right now will be confused because he's been attracted by that prophecy. And we've seen, I think there's a WhatsApp group that trended that was reported recently. Thank you.
Seyi Makinde 2027 and all that. You know,
now, will Seyi want to run against Bola Ahmed Tinubu
in 2027?
In 2027, it's possible.
You think so?
And I think that Seyi is already trying to build a bridge from Ibadan to Adamawa.
With the friendship with Fintiri and co.
And this did not start today. You recall that in the wake of that sad announcement by the REC of Adamawa, it was Seyi Makinde who arrived in Adamawa
State, yes,
in solidarity with Umaru Fintiri. So that tells you that there's a personal connection.
Yes.
And that connection might be political in the future. Because don't forget that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu from the southwest is running mate, or the vice president
is from the northeast.
And you see that same kind of coalition. You now see Seyi Makinde from the southwest and Umaru Fintiri from the northeast.
But where does this, if this calculation is true, if this is something that we can begin to think about really politically,
yes,
where does this leave Nyesom Wike, who seems to be working?
No, Nyesom Wike is not going to challenge Ahmed Tinubu. So, because any indication of that now will make him lose his position.
So what exactly is the political relevance of Nyesom Wike, and what future do you think is chasing?
Nyesom Wike has become like a fowl now. Have you heard of something called the fowl theory?
Just if you can't get, just scatter
whatever
everything.
You cannot eat,
scatter everything.
Scatter it and move on. That's what he's doing now.
So just scatter it.
Yes,
to what end, really?
Where to just protect himself if he can show that he has nuisance value, and that nuisance
politically,
and that nuisance value is priced costly by the APC, then it stays relevant. But I foresee a roadblock, and that roadblock happens if the local government election in Rivers State goes the way of APP,
or the APP, and which is most likely going to happen.
It's going to get the president to begin to rethink his strategy in Rivers State. Don't forget that the PDP elders in Rivers State have come out openly to express their support for the president,
and they've never and I said that look, but the governor must be the governor.
Yes. Now, so if Wike's selling point is the fact that I'm the one who is working for the president and I will support him for re-election, right? the elders of Rivers State have come out to say, we are also supporting the president. Now, the argument, therefore, by Wike is that I have the resources, I have the contact. These guys can't deliver the state. I promise you that we're going to deliver the state to you, and I promise you that I promised my party that I was going to get the PDP to win the governorship. But now it's a different war that Wike is engaging in, because now he has to get everybody, you're all right, to follow him on a particular path. And that might be a difficult act.
Because people are saying that, look, just during the week, I think it was on Thursday or Wednesday, Fubara's loyalists who have moved to the APP, of course, we saw them on TV. It was a grand, let me show, really, on TV.
Let me point
and that, look, Wike needed to respond. And what people are saying is that, look, all of that is still directed to the president. That, look, if you think this man can do anything, maybe the Fubara people are telling the president that, look, we are the guys on ground.
Do you know something?
Yes.
In my place, they say when a madman's cloth is tearing, he said, this my cloth is becoming very white.
Finer, good design.
He doesn't know that it's tearing. I think Wike will realize that he's like a fan. If you understand the politics of this country, that is fighting, is climbing a tree without branches, he will soon realize that. Because you see, if you consider our politics in this country, you will see that those who just left power and who are still dreaming, claiming that they are holding on to power, usually find that they don't have power too late.
Too late, yeah.
You know, when you turn off a ceiling fan, it continues to roll for some time. And anybody who just come into the room, we think that the fan is still working.
Whereas you switch it off.
It's already off. And that's what is happening. It's no longer left power, so he still has resources. And now as minister, who has more resources than most state governors.
Governors, yes.
He still has his supporters. But I will tell you something. Have you asked yourself why, in spite of his seeming control of the structure of the party and of the house, he has not been able to move to impeach the governor?
Despite all?
Yes. So it tells you there's something there. And when you hear the governor himself speak, he said, I'm only pitying them. I
know what to do.
I know what to do.
So if the governor is able to win all the local government seats for the APP,
that's it. The president will begin to do a rethink and a reimagination.
The man that has all the local government chairmen.
Yes, because these are foot soldiers for election. I think Wike's strategy will be that even if we lose, we have the courts that can snatch some of these things for us.
But there are limitations, even with the courts.
And look, but you know what is troubling to me?
Yes.
About what is going on in Rivers. We are not hearing about Rivers because they had a breakthrough in technology.
Or projects or
that they just built the best technical school in the country, world-class hospitals, or that they are attracting the best brains.
Or there's a lot of empowerment for the people of the state,
given the resources that they have.
Yes.
The ultimate losers here are the Rivers people. Because the governor is going to divert a lot of funds
into
fighting this war.
Myself and Sandra were watching the APP guys, and what she told me is that, look, this party has been in existence since when? So how did they suddenly have the money to do this, to take national TV?
In fact, right now I have it on authority that the INEC will not register any new political party because there's a move to coalesce the opposition into a big and powerful front to take on the APC. And so what the political parties are doing is to go back and look. These groups are doing is to go back and look at parties that are registered, but they are not powerful. They don't have presence. Take over the structure and then revitalize them. That's what you saw in Rivers State.
Rivers State, yes.
And I think that the president needs to be very careful how he treats in Rivers State. He has to be extremely careful. I know he wants to win River in 2027, but it is not only through Wike
that he can win
Rivers State.
All right.
And I think it's an elder statesman. He should be able to understand.
It's a political strategist, and I'm sure he understands his politics well to know that, look, Wike cannot be the only person that can win Rivers State for him if that's his desire. But because of time, by Sir Curtis, we'll run through these two last issues on the roundtable this evening. It's a political roundtable. 98.3 FM. My name is Saheed Fuhad. We have Barrister Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ in the studio. We've touched on the Bobrisky issue. We've also looked at some Wike all boastful in Rivers State, saying that, look, I'm going to teach you guys a political lesson. Because practically mocking the loyalists of the current government of the state. Fubara, of course, the conversation.
And those the loyalists include former governors. Who was his also political godfather? Peter Odili, whose wife, as the Supreme Court, as the Justice of the Supreme Court, was instrumental to protecting Wike so many times.
So many times. Yeah. But let's look at this by Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ. Bayo Onanuga during the week, of course, hinted at the possibility of the president having a cabinet reshuffle, rejig of the cabinet. People have also said that, look, it's just time for the president to look at, reworking his cabinet. Again, there have been ministers that have been identified as missing in action completely.
It's an attempt to divert us from
so you think it's really nothing?
The president doesn't need to inform us before he rejigs his cabinet.
But we have the information now.
He doesn't even need to let the ministers know that this is what he wants to do.
So just make it happen.
Listen, as the president of the country, these guys are working for him. He has their scorecards. He knows the dead wood among his ministers. He knows those who are working.
He even set an evaluation team that takes records.
The point is that the president can just wake up, they hold their jobs at his pleasure, and say to them, I saw the speculation going on and I just ignored it. In fact, there was even one that said the president has made up his mind to remove the chief of staff and replace him with Fashola.
That's also
if only Fashola
there are also people who have said that he's probably going to bring in 괓ᴓ, Shewu's son is going to come in. So a lot really.
If Fashola does not accept the job, then HMO, the current private secretary, will be the next chief of staff. Look, no president wants to do that and we go public with it. Because you then give...
Because of the lobby and
of course, he's going to put himself under a lot of pressure. These guys are not just going to give up. They are going to go all over the country to talk to people who enjoy certain influence.
There was this anonymous source in one of the newspaper reports during the week. The paper were quoting and saying that this was a source in the presidency who wanted to remain anonymous, who said that, look, one of the reasons why the president's whereabouts was unknown after the China trip until he appeared in the UK was because of this same issue. That pressure has started to mount.
So the president cannot rejig his cabinet in Nigeria.
Even though I said it was just a very funny excuse, really. But by Tᴏɪᴛᴛᴇʀ, if the president actually now decides to reshuffle his cabinet, how should he approach it? And do you think that, look, it could change things again for the president? Whether anybody likes it or not, his approval ratings have been very dismal. That's number two. The president is also a minister. Is it time for him to leave that position and allow someone to take charge?
So, among the ministers, in my own opinion, that are not doing well, one, the president himself is not doing well.
So he should leave that
minister of petroleum.
So he should get someone else to handle that.
And his junior minister is also not doing well, as far as I'm concerned.
So the two should go.
The only time we hear anything from him, although I know that media visibility does not automatically translate to performance. But of course, people have to hear you. People have to know what you are doing. Do you understand?
And if you are doing something, that's the only time you can now come out and say you are doing something.
Yes.
Or you have something to say.
In a football match, there are defenders, there are midfielders who do the dirty works. But the people you hear about are the strikers.
Yes.
And you only get to hear about the strikers because they're the ones that score the goals.
Yes.
However, when it comes to administration, you are a defender, a midfielder, and a striker. So you can position yourself in such a way that everybody gets to know what you are doing.
Your performance helps to really,
Exactly. Now, let's look at the case of Olubunmi Ojo, for instance. Minister of the Interior. He's been all over the place, talking about prison reforms, talking about passport reforms. Again, the promise and the practice don't line up. If you want to go and get a passport now, it's not as easy as he has told us.
So something has happened, really.
However,
again, we don't want to go
there has been a
shift.
And then there is a reawakening of the consciousness of those people involved.
Yes.
That we can't be punished if we persist
on this line of duty.
So you will see that there's something is happening. That there's a shift.
Yes.
Now you see how he responds to issue. When there was the issue in Lokoja prison break, he was there, recently when they flooding in.
He's talking about reinforcing the prisons, so he's very active.
The flooding in Borno State, especially in Maiduguri.
He was also there to do check.
The Controller General of Immigration and Prisons. So there's movement. Now, when you talk about the Attorney General of the Federation, it's working. He's spoken out so many times. He went to the Supreme Court on local government
judgment.
You can say, when you talk about economic budget and planning, Atiku Bagudu is always in the news. The Minister of Works has got something to do. Constantly briefing the press. We see him go all over the country.
At least we have activities around him.
But there are ministers that you cannot even say anything about them.
At least I know one.
Well, and then there's also one minister who has become so popular for fighting over events that were organized in the name of the ministry and did not have authorization. Or even when she gave them authorization, called for a shift. If that didn't happen,
it becomes a problem.
She will go there and disrupt the event.
Yeah.
That's also very popular, but that's in a negative
that's our
way.
own activity.
But there are a lot of ministers
that
we know that they have not been able to tell Nigerians what they have done. One of them that has been promoted so much. Minister of Communications and Digital Economy.
The young man from Ogun State, Bosu Tijani,
Sandra's cousin. We don't even.
When the man was going to come in, people have said that look, he's coming with the best of ideas.
The minister of is it blue or marine?
He celebrated 70. I think it was yesterday also.
Yeah,
he's been completely missed.
Is it SA or PA? Say they are still planning.
They are coming up with a blueprint.
Thank you.
So there's a minister for steel.
Yes,
development
from Kogi
State.
In fact, I think that one just went to sleep.
I think Festus Keyamo is doing well, really.
Yeah, it's visible.
And some achievements. Really,
it's also been able to issue some. It's engaging with foreign airlines, airports, civil aviation authorities
so
all over the world.
I think he's been doing well. Really,
he's doing well. He's one of the people.
The Minister of Power.
Power. I think that guy, after he made the statement about the deep freezers and all that, he just recoiled.
But all of the activities around,
well, apart from the bandit,
that's just the issue, really.
I don't think there's anything much in terms of power generation and all that. So I think that this president, don't forget that his first cabinet picks, the basic consideration was politics.
Politics, yes. What should he do now?
What he should do now? You see, the first thing that the president should have done, and what anybody who wants to associate should do, you first of all craft a vision for your government, and then you begin to look for people who can translate that vision.
So we thought he did that. No, he didn't. It took the president almost 4 months to.
What he did basically was to call for names from. They said they distributed the slots to power blocks within the APC.
So if he has if he has a lot of political, how do I put it now? Patrons that he needed to settle. Hasn't he done enough? Shouldn't it be the time for him to now look at, well-rounded technocrats, experts to now fill these positions to get his government moving to the right direction?
The problem is that those who control our politics act like the grave. They are never tired of receiving dead bodies.
So they just want to be there.
They just if the man that I gave to you is not doing well, I have another man who will do better.
So they are still going to be. So do you think at the end of the day, and if a reshuffle happens, it's still going to be same of the same?
I think we are going to double down to the rabbit hole.
Nothing's going to change.
The major consideration for political appointment in this country, unfortunately, is not competence.
So do you think the president does not have the political?
You recall that the 괘ᴏ at the point started saying that government or opportunities in government for appointments should be advertised and let people apply, and the best be hired.
No.
That didn't happen.
We know it's not going to happen, really, because there's a lot of people that are still.
I wouldn't say that Nigerians who are not in government are more competent than those who are there. But until you get them in, you will not know. Because for right now, what we tend to put more premium on political loyalty and support.
That's it.
Than on their skills, talent, and competence. So, and that's that. Look, a man cannot give you more than what he has. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
And like in our private conversation, like I told you some days ago, can you point to any new face holding any consequential position in the country?
It's just the same old,
The National Assembly,
the same old guys.
Governor, he has been minister. Secretary to the government, he has been governor, he has been senator, he has been minister. Now, if they didn't do any real thing while they were holding the other position,
so what are they going to do now?
What skills have they acquired in between
to now change things
to get
now
to this position? So it's going to have more. You're just going to have more of the same. The country is just going to keep going down the rabbit hole. We need someone to disrupt the system in a positive way, and that we are not having.
That positive disruption is what we're waiting for.
The speaker, of course, has been in the House of Representatives for so many years.
In there, yeah.
He's had leadership position. The chief of staff was speaker himself, majority leader. So where are the new faces? Where is the new skills and talents coming from?
So you think that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu cannot activate any positive disruption?
Let me tell you. Look at the government of Obasanjo. Who were the key performers?
Those that were never really part of
They were those who were never part of the
political system. Yeah,
had he brought from outside because of their established and verifiable talents and skills.
And that's why people are saying that has been the best era, really, in terms of appointments.
So, do you understand what I'm saying? Any appointment that is based majorly on political consideration and not competence, talent, and skill, he's not going to get what we are getting.
All right, by psychologists,
and that is why they go for press conference. Even the things that their ministries are doing, they say, the vision of Mr. President.
They attach it to it.
What is your own vision?
So in the renewed agenda of the president, the ministry has now. So they keep rubbing the ego.
Has giving you the job.
This is what's the result. But again, they have to always patronize the president.
Yes.
Rub his ego, and I think that's what they've been doing. But wait to see whether anything is going to happen on Tuesday. That's the 1st of October. Whether there's going to be cabinet reshuffle, and hopefully we'll see if new faces, new names will emerge, to help really rescue this nation. We need that rescue and positive disruption, as you've put it, Barrister Curtis. We have 2 minutes to discuss this, Barrister Curtis, because we need to open the phone lines. The line has been buzzing. It's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. Our Facebook platform is not active, but you can drop your messages on our YouTube platform. We'll take all the messages. We're opening the phone lines in the next 2 minutes. Barrister Curtis, a bill for independent candidacy has killed the first reading. Let's just do this in 2 minutes. Would this bring any positive direction to our electoral system if candidates can run as independents, not necessarily under any political party?
That bill would die in the second or third reading, and even if it scales through, it's not going to change anything in our politics. I tell you, the political parties are not the problem of our election. Yes, they do have their problems. Do you understand?
I'm with you.
So long as the votes of the people do not count. There's a popular saying that says that those who vote do nothing. Only those who count them do everything.
Yeah.
So long as the votes don't count.
So even if you run as an independent.
If you are still not the preferred candidate by the powers that be.
You are just wasting
the
your
powers
time.
that control INEC, the power that controls the police. You are still wasting your time. We have to get to that point. Carry out reforms. And that's why Justice
Ways report,
said the president should no longer appoint the INEC chairman.
Yes, the reforms are there. The recommendations are there. It's been since 2009.
And nobody, even when we decided that we are going to do some reforms, even via the Electoral Act, all we do is just to cross the T's and dot the I's. We've not done fundamental reforms in the electoral system. And like I said in this studio before, this president is not going to embark on any reform. Why?
Telling reforms, really.
Because he believes that the election that produced him was perfect. He lost Lagos after all, they tell you.
So because of that,
and because of that,
and because some governors also lost the bid to go to the Senate.
Yeah, and even if he reforms, then he will be telling you that there was a problem with my election, and he doesn't want to do that.
But Yaradua, the late Yaradua did it. That brought up the Waste committee.
Who did you say? There's a difference between Yaradua and Tinubu.
Oh, really?
Individuals perceive things differently. All right. There are those who says, to apologize is weakness, and there are those who sees apology as strength. It's either the cup is half empty or half full.
True.
But if he loves this country, there is the need to do more reform. Look at what happened in the election. Results were being uploaded to the IREV real time, and we're seeing the results. We went to bed, woke up the next morning, the level of reporting had dropped by 15%. And that was where the allegation about rigging and all that manipulation of results.
And the Yaga report, the observers, the Yaga report has said that, look, we need to accept that a lot also went wrong with the Edo elections. And in fact, they pointed to the collation point, the point of collation, specifically mentioning the collation that was done in Oredo local government and I think about 3 other local governments in the elections as being questionable. You know, again, INEC has not really responded to Yaga. No. But the APC has been saying that, look, you guys are just making yourself too relevant. The election was perfect, yeah.
And again, you must also tell yourself that the APC, the PDP had come out openly. Aswe Godalo, the candidate of the PDP, pointedly accused INEC and the security agents.
Yes, of compromising the elections. Yeah,
You said that clearly.
You have to say that in court by Mr. Curtis. Really.
Yeah, but and then the difficulty is that INEC is the same body that has got to punish him with the evidence of these things. And if
INEC is saying we did a perfect election.
If you saw the reporting that we are seeing on the social media and all that, you saw ballot papers have been burnt already in some places. So, and you see, these things don't hurt us alone as a country in the country. They also hurt us
our
globally.
image, global image, yeah.
Because every other parts of the world perceive you as people who cannot be trusted. So your documents are over scrutinized.
Checked. You want to travel, you know, nobody has any respect.
I told you of my experience in Turkey. When I missed
get
that flight, and other nationals from other countries were being carried to the hotel. I couldn't.
You have to stay in the airport.
Visa, and I couldn't get one at the
and
airport.
Your passport cannot take you into the third country
so
without a visa.
Stay at the airport in the next day.
Well, we're hoping that we understand that some of the things we do back home has global implications. Really, like you said, it goes beyond what we see of ourselves. It's the reason why a lot of times Nigerians out there, you have the green passport, they scrutinize you, they overcheck you, they don't trust your document. I've been to embassies who they'll tell you, look, we're not interested in your documents. We know that, look, if we tell you to bring the death certificates of your great-great-grandfather, you go out there and in 1 minute you bring it in here because they see us as people.
In fact, when they rejected my youngest child application, she was 6 months. We were going to travel to the UK.
6 months.
And they rejected the application.
6 months.
And when I went there with some documents, they told me, you know why we didn't bother about the documents? Because we know how easy it is to get documents in Nigeria. So,
Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. Phone line is officially open 09136 0000410 09136 from the Bobrisky issue to 괊ᴜᴜ in River State to
good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. I'm Kayode from Abeokuta.
Yes, Mr. Kayode, it's been a while. How are you doing, sir? Yes.
I greet Barrister.
All right, greet you too.
Thank you.
I'm enjoying him. I would have loved him to stop him, but we need to contribute as well.
All right.
You see, Wike, I thought he was, I think I will say everything I told the public, or said to the public, has no common sense in them, rather. What am I talking about? He has been so, thinking that the pride in him, but should be looked into. Pride is very deceptive and difficult to detect by the one, by Wike who possesses it. I am telling you, we must afford it. I don't know what other names should I call him.
You don't need to call him a name. Yes.
No, I'm not calling him any name.
Okay.
But you see, who brought him to prominence in the first instance, and who has given him opportunity to be significant among others? Was it not his boss in Rotimi and others like that? But now calling them, bragging that they cannot do you anything, and then you think that you own everybody. I think he has some measure of youthfulness inside him. That's the way I've seen him now. Because I don't know. He has taken so much in this kind of a thing that, like you said, what about all those innovations? Where are those innovations he too has done? Probably brought to liberty.
All right, thank you, Kayode. Thank you, Mr. Kayode.
Thank you very much.
All right, 09136 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Distinguished Fuad.
Good evening, sir.
I greet you ceremoniously, sir.
I greet you too, sir.
Yeah, Barrister Curtis, I greet you fundamentally.
Thank you.
By now, why did you know who is calling? I'm calling for the first time on call.
I'm trying to remember. James Ogbonna. Yes, James Ogbonna. How are you doing?
Yeah, because Facebook is not working. So
Facebook. Okay. Where are you calling from, James?
I'm calling from Oshodi.
Oshodi. Okay, please go on, James.
Okay, so my question is, you have said just everything I wanted to say about Wike. I mean, you nailed it. Because listening to him, thank you for even playing that cool soundbite, because I only listened to part of it yesterday. You know, the man kept saying, I am big, I am big, I am bigger. And I've always questioned, this man is talking about structure. My question has always been, so on whose structure is he standing on? Did the Wike disappear? Did it disappear from heaven? It just came from nowhere and suddenly disappeared and became who he is. You know? So from my own, if you look at his body language and comment, it tells you that Wike even seen him as bigger than Peter Odili, Rotimi and Jonathan and his wife. All of them put together, because he said everybody put together. So anybody who tries to
I hope he will not wake up one day and believe he's bigger than the president.
Because so he doesn't need to even say it out. We already know. Yes, we already know. So if Jonathan tomorrow or the wife or any of them or if he tries to maybe go behind him, you will see that he will come out to say he's bigger than them too. So that's the way I've seen it. But my own advice to Governor Fubara is that he should be resolute. He should not. Wike does not have monopoly of strength. He's not the only one that has strength. Governor Fubara should be resolute. He should not allow anybody to distract him.
All right.
And his people should not move to those lawmakers should not move to APM yet, because they will have APP, because they will accuse them that the same thing you have.
No, the lawmakers I don't think will move. It's just the local government guys. So
they should maintain.
All right. Thank you, James Ogbonna. God bless you. All right. Hello, good evening. It was nice to hear James Ogbonna's voice. Hello, good evening.
I thank I hear his voice too.
Prince Wise, good evening.
Good evening to you.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm very okay. Barista, good evening to you.
Good evening, sir.
Where are you calling from, Prince Wise?
I'm calling you right from my word.
All right, please go on, sir.
And today, we have a white lion, we have black one. But the real lion is Wike. I'm telling you.
Do you know the color?
I don't know the color, but I know it's the real lion. It's Wike. Look the way he terrorized the whole party. Telling PDP governor, what can you do? And I want to tell you, the governor of Rivers State, Fubara, in fact, is a mature politician. You don't have to play the politics. When you see politics for 1950, when Baba Wola was around, Penkeleme, we know what they are doing during that period. So for me, if we can brag it now, no chapter forever now, we know. But in time, you want to use it foolish. And I want to say something. If this is a contest on that new party, yes, in one of the local government, we know. But come around when you want to go for second chance. You look and contest under that party or under PDP. That's a big question for him. If the man is not okay, they say Wike is Mr. Project. In Abuja it's Mr. Project. So that's what we need. Let it start Wike. Let Nigeria enjoy Wike.
Okay.
Because it's working for Nigeria. We enjoy its work in Abuja. It's working, and everybody needs it. So for me,
all right,
PDP, let them take away Wike. Let them sack Wike. Let Wike work for Nigeria.
All right, thank you, Prince Wise.
The Wike leave office was expecting who delay as it go.
All right. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Barista, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Lucky, calling from Yanakbaja.
Yes. How is Yanakbaja today?
Yanakbaja is cool. Mine is cool.
All right, please go on, sir.
The truth of the matter is that, some people like to support Wike, the legacy of Buhari. The Buhari get legacy. Imagine somebody say, "Well, I want to come with Buhari."
He's working with the person now.
Now he's not following the legacy. How can you trust? See, what I like in Fubara, he's taking it gradually. If you look at the way Wike is talking, he's spending a lot of money for all this thing. Wike be like, I don't know whether you have been to a river. A diver in the river, he would try to hold anything that associates Wike is doing. Wike is irrelevant for the masters. I'm telling you tomorrow. If you look at Fubara, he's a very smart, intelligent guy, young guy. That is why you move all the candidates to whether APP, you will see that when they will clear, you will clear the whole pool, everything will clear. It's normal thing. You understand? So at then, all these cards that is gathering, they are eating his money. When the money finish, see, I go clear.
All right.
Thank you, my brother.
Okay, God bless you. We'll take this call and then we'll try and take some of the messages on YouTube.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Ford.
Yes.
My regards to the barrister there, John from Oba.
Oh, Mr. John.
Please, I want you to enlighten me. What project has Wike done in Abuja that is of notable achievement?
Well, I think he's commissioned a number of projects, and for some of our colleagues and friends who stay in Abuja, I think there have been reports that, look, the city is taking a new shape, really, in terms of roads, rehabilitation of old roads, and what have you. So that's just what we're working with.
Some of them were even abandoned
contracts, but at least he's been working on them. So
they will give him certificate of finish.
So that's it, Mr. John. Yes.
Well, before you can deduce that he's working and he has done so many good things.
Yeah.
He must have finished, just like the barrister said, he must have finished with what he's doing now.
You know, when the president celebrated 1 year, if there was a minister that had a lot of projects to show, I think it was here on Wike. So you have to give that to him.
Fine, and he has to lord it over everybody.
Well, that's another conversation.
And I mean, when he can do all these things and still comport himself.
That's just the problem. So that's why I'm saying
that's where I'm going. That's God bless you. That's where I'm going. You see, we have people that have no decorum. I don't. If you are doing something that is what praising or what commendable, let me put it that way. Must you by yourself begin to blow your own trumpet? Must you tread on people's toes? Must you be loud in everything you are doing? Must you show lack of comportment and everything? Can't he behave like a decent gentleman? Let his record speak for him. I had people supporting him, saying also he's lion or whatever.
The same people we call Fubara lion when he overcomes. Don't mind them.
All right.
These are political jobbers.
All right. Thank you, Mr. John. Thank you so much. Let's take some of the messages we have on YouTube. Alaba Rafiu Alakwe is saying among the ministers, only 5 or 6 should be retained. People like Wike, Adelabu, Keyamo, Tunji, Joe Umai, and the ICT guy from Ogun State should remain, while others should be sacked. And lastly, I was hoping he would talk about
Attorney General should be sacked.
He only listed about 5 or 6. Maybe he forgot to list the Attorney General. Well, he also said Bobrisky Gate. I want to beg government to retrieve the videos and footages since Bobrisky said he went to prison to know what really happened during his stay in prison. Or is there no CCTV camera in the prison? We have Noah Udo who is saying, good evening, Mr. Ford and our barrister. Mr. Wike is just ranting to disorganize Fubara Camp, but the end will be in favor of Governor Fubara. We have Arafrika saying, if ᴰᴏ contests against Tinubu, it makes more sense to Wike. At least it will be on record that PDP fielded a southerner for the show of it. After 2027, the northern calculation comes. I've been asking that question, barrister, because at the end of the day, what's the need for Wike? What's the end game for Wike really?
The end game is Wike.
To achieve what?
To achieve Wike.
Because I'm like, okay, all of this disruption, this fight. Look, here was a 2-term governor who had seen it all. He ruled like an emperor. He had everything. He was able to dislodge all his political adversaries, and was going to pick the ticket of the PDP, if not for what happened with the governor of Sokoto State. So if he had picked the ticket of the PDP, he was a potential president. He could have won the presidential elections.
You know, before the PDP convention,
yes,
no governor from the south has spent more money than Wike in the north.
Yes.
At convocations of universities, polytechnics, Dobas, he was always...
So has he thrown all of that to the waste bin?
Well, I think he understands the fact that they do not forgive for political treachery. Don't forget that after he worked against them in the last election, there's no way a Wike will ever be president of Nigeria.
So it's still the foul theory.
So he feels that I've got to attain the maximum height that I can within what is available. And for him, being the minister of FCT, first Southerner to be
holding on to the political structure of the river.
He wants to be governor in 2 states because the Supreme Court now told us that Abuja is like a state.
Okay, so stay in Abuja and then continue to control River State.
Yes,
that's okay for him.
Like some of his ogas are doing. Okay. So it's not new.
It's not new. So that's the end game.
That's the end game.
Okay, all right. Let's see whether we can squeeze in 1 or 2 more.
Unfortunately, River is not a country where you can become president of Rivers.
So, but at least maybe governor plus governor equals to president.
No, governor plus governor equals to super governor.
Okay. Hello, good evening.
Good evening,
Body now. Body don't
Madam Ife is one of the top supporters of Wike. I know. I'm pulling her legs.
Wike just ranted. What did Wike say when he was abusing Buhari? Even this Tinubu. First cancer. You see what to say first cancer now you are there. You are here, you are there. You are talking to a sitting governor. Which time when Wike get we want to fight back? You can't fight Fubara. It's a governor. If the 2% on the 5th of October, Fubara go clear to the 3 local government with the APC. I tell you,
if that happens,
they will become the PDP. If it happens,
I know.
The APC say no go do, PDP say
and if it happens, that's the beginning of the end.
That's the beginning of the end of which now. They know these people that are following. Look at the same J. Which is John man from River State to support me. He went to Bayelsa to go and build the 괏ᴜbiri. The 괏�biri that is looking anything that is looking for Bayelsa seat. I mean, don't forget. We want to become governor.
Look at what's happening in Benue State between Akumi and
look at Delta State, the same thing. He want to give them money to come and say which is correct John man because yes, down.
They form different. They have different camps.
So
look at them. They don't come out from government only 1 year. They don't fall for their from the belly.
Thank you, madam.
Good night, Jare.
Good night. Christopher F. Young is saying on YouTube. Good evening, Political Roundtable. I love what you guys are doing. Thank you so much, Mr. Christopher F. Alaba Lakwe is giving us another side to the conversation. So you guys should not forget governors who had local government in their pocket but still lost their governorship elections. So because Fubara has local government, now he would win Wike and Tinubu should align with him.
I will explain that to him.
All right.
Those governors were governors who were opposed from the central government and they overwhelmed. Like what happened in Edo State.
Yes.
If Obaseki was in the good book of the central authority, it does not matter what APC did that day. His candidate will not have lost. So I think you need to put in context why some governors lost. Yes.
Okay, well, we'll see how it goes at the end of the day because again, a lot should still happen as it is. We'll continue to see how it goes really when it comes to what happens in River State. It's going to be interesting, no matter what anybody says. It's going to be very, very interesting. What would eventually come out of River State?
And most deadly jet fighters.
And then they took out the
so that the
guys,
those bunker busting bombs. Top leaders.
I know we're going to still find time really to dig into the Israeli, Gaza, Iran, Lebanon crisis. It's a crisis that we're going to find time, maybe dedicate the whole show really to discuss about what is happening in that axis, because again there are global implications. Nobody is immune from what could actually happen in that conflict.
Israel has shown clearly that there is no hiding place for anybody who wants to attack Israel. Hananiah
was taken out
in Iran, capital of Iran. You understand? So this technologically empowered warfare
that Israel has, the potentials,
Okay, so like you said, we don't have time to.
We don't have time because I was going to go into the end game really for Benjamin Netanyahu. You know, where does he want to end all of this?
For Benjamin, this is the only way for him to stay in power.
So he continues to fight everybody.
You don't change a leader that is fighting the leader of a country that is at war. And more so that he's seen over the years his approval rating going down to the door.
So he needed to do this really to just keep himself in power.
Yes, but I don't think that ultimately that will save him.
All right, we'll just have to leave the studio. We'll find time really to look at the global issues when it comes to that crisis in the Middle East, Israel against others. I like to put it that way, but it's not anything new really.
He was there before I was born, and he might still be there until I leave.
All right, but I got your final take on the show this evening.
Well, I think those who are in power should understand that power is slippery. You think you have power today. The truth is that you don't have power at any point in time. The ultimate power belongs to someone, and it's not you. All over the country, we've seen conflicts. Our politics too conflictual. You go to Benue, it's the government and the current governor. You go to River State, the minister of FCT and the governor, and so many other states. I think people should focus on their primary places of assignment for now. Wike has got a lot to do in Abuja. Akume has got a lot to do in Abuja. Face your jobs and allow those who have been empowered by the people
to do the job.
To do their job.
All right.
And Nigeria will be better for it.
All right. And Nigeria will be better for it. Thank you so much, Barrister Curtis Adigba. And this is where we call it today on the show Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Sahid Fuhad. Let's do this again next week.